Hey book readers, this is the B-Side Book Reviews, and today I'm kind of decked out in my homeless drifter wear because we are going to check out the book Into the Wild. Now those who have read the book or seen the movie, we know it's about a young man named Christopher McCandless, who basically graduated college, torched all of his ID cards, and then kind of became a homeless drifter. So, if the wind doesn't blow my camera away and the neighbors quit yelling at each other, we'll take a look at Into the Wild. And if I can keep the hair out of my eyes. How to travel the country on a budget. Yeah, a budget of pretty much nothing. Okay, we might see Christopher McCandless as a rebel. Someone who just wanted to see the country. Someone who just wanted to be free of all government and social ties. Maybe someone who was just wanting to be free of everything. Or maybe he was just a little bit of a whack job. More than likely, he was probably a little bit of all of the above. Now, this book tells us most everything there is to know about the young man who left his family after college graduation, abandoned his car, burned all his ID cards, and changed his name to Alex Supertramp. Wow. Supertramp? I wonder what inspired that name. The 1970s rock band? Or did he just imagine himself as a hobo with superpowers, as in Supertramp? Who knows? Unlike the film version, our story here begins when a few native Alaskans find Chris's lifeless body wrapped up in his sleeping bag, lying in the old abandoned 142 bus up in Alaska. Then, using the notes Chris kept on his journeys, author John Krackauer takes us on Chris's hobo journey from Georgia to California, to Mexico, to South Dakota, and then north to Alaska. Now, this book also includes interviews with some of the people Chris met during his journey, and gives us a pretty good view of the impression that he made on them. It also reveals to us the effects that his travels had on his grief-stricken family, who, like most of us, are still wondering why Chris turned his back on society and his family. Yeah, why did a bright young man who had just finished college decide to blow off a promising future and take on the role of a homeless wanderer? Oh, come on. We've all thought about it, right? Maybe just for a second? Yeah, I think there's a little homeless wanderer in all of us. I've certainly considered doing such. And, well, I do tend to wander around the country from time to time. However, I also like to wander back to my air conditioner, refrigerator, my bed, and my cable TV. Then again, maybe this was all the stuff that Chris was trying to escape. Who knows? Now, I love the movie, so I figured I would really dig the book here. Now, where the movie provides us with the actual story of Chris's travels, the book is far more of a documentary than a story. Watching the movie, I developed an understanding and a bit of an admiration for Chris McCandless. Yeah, I thought I would probably find the guy likable. Just a cool guy to hang out with and share a can of beans over a campfire while we ridiculed all those superficial people who were slaves to society, chained down into their grueling rituals of making money and living in the false comfort contrived from electricity, running water, and double-ply toilet paper. All those people living in the false sense of happiness, or something like that. However, after reading this book, I'm not so sure I would have found Chris's company quite so agreeable. He seemed to be a bit of a jerk to many of those who had met him during his normal life. But I suppose we all have our moments. Now, the book mentioned how Chris might have had a bit of a short man syndrome issue. Guess that's why 5'7" Emile Hirsch, there we go, was playing him in the movie. Now, Chris here was actually around 5'8". Okay, not all that short. I mean, come on. Kit Carson was barely 5'6", and he did all right out in the wild. Yeah. Regardless of his height, those who Chris came across during his Into the Wild journey seemed to become quite attached to the young man. So, I guess he was okay after all. Also, the movie gave us the impression that he died out in the wildest and wooliest part of Alaska. But the book clearly stated that the area where he perished really wasn't that far away from a civilization. In all reality, it was kind of a day hike for the experienced outdoorsy type. Of course, that was Chris's main problem. He wasn't an experienced outdoorsy type. That's probably one of the main things that might have did him in. Also, if you remember in the movie, he comes across the river and he can't cross it. Well, if he had just gone down a few miles, there's a place to cross the river. Now, our author here includes many stories of people like Chris, who wanted to leave society and live off the land, until they found out that the great outdoors weren't all that great. Yeah, folks, they don't call it roughing it for nothing. The book went on to tell us that in the summertime, Alaska has mosquitoes the size of crows. I wonder if Chris knew about that. Yes, we all need to spend a little time alone sometimes, but when you're traipsing out into the wilderness, it's good to have friends who know where you are. And you might want to include a can of insect repellent as well. Good idea. I saw the movie, so I knew what to expect. However, in the movie, we don't know that Chris perishes until the end. In the book, this spoiler is laid out for us in the first chapter. And as stated earlier, Chris's self-isolation is hardly a new concept. I really enjoyed how our author here talked about others who had bailed on society by moving into the wild, or those who had taken on nature face to face, including himself. There were a few stories of people who moved up into the wilds of Alaska to find themselves. And once they found themselves, they weren't real sure what to do with themselves. So they just stuck around. Now, I'm not just real sure how I feel about Christopher McCandless here. We all get pissed off at the system, society, and everything in general at times. Yeah, we should have just learned to live with it. Of course, he was young, and according to our author, had every intention of leaving Alaska once he spent some time there finding himself. Who knows? Once Chris found himself, he might have come back home, made up with his family, and became a successful member of society. I guess we'll never know. Now, here's something I did find interesting in comparing the book to the movie. In the movie, young actress Kristen Stewart plays the little teenage Tracy, who develops a thing for our Alexander Supertramp. Now, in the movie, she has several scenes and even tries to get it on with our Alexander/Christopher in her parents' trailer. Now, in the book, her presence is reduced to, well, merely a couple of sentences. Who knows what really happened with Christopher and Tracy? Considering she was only 15 in the movie, we're probably better off not knowing. Nothing happened in the movie. That's just assuming it's the same with the book. They sang a song together, as I recall. I am an old woman. Am I? At just over 200 pages, the book was fairly easy to read. Now, the cool thing about reading this book is that I started reading it while I was in a tent in the Smoky Mountains during a light rainstorm. Yes, my own little escape from society. Now, I have to admit, when I got out of college, the idea of taking off like Chris did, well, yeah, it crossed my mind a few times. At least it did until I was driving home from college one day and I stopped out on Highway 33 in Oklahoma. It was nighttime and it was early winter and that cold wind was just whipping around me, and I stood there and just thought, whoa, wandering around in this weather would really suck. Society isn't that bad. You've just got to embrace the good, accept the bad, and learn how to roll with it. Yes, Into the Wild. Pretty cool book, written by John... Oh boy. You know, I checked the internet to find out how to pronounce his name, and I found like 4 different ways to pronounce it. So I'm going to call him John the Writer. Looks like he also wrote the book Into the Thin Air, which I have not read. I guess I need to check that book out. But do check out this book, Into the Wild, and also see the movie. The book and the movie are, there's enough difference between the two, they will both keep your interest. So, need I say more?